Alright boys, well let's get things started on A2 here. It's our first Triple Crown of the year. This is my qualifying time. It was ended up being like a 104.1. This track was actually, I don't know, I did not vibe with this track. This is a track I had the least amount of time on of the previous 3 or 2. I don't know, two. And I just really wasn't vibing up until this point. My fastest lap on the track was a 105.6, and I was pretty convinced I was not going to qualify into the night show at all, because on a Triple Crown they only take top 18 from qualifying instead of top 40 like before, and they take top 18 straight into the main event, and then they do an LCQ. I was convinced that I was either going to end up in the LCQ or I wasn't going to make it at all, but I got pretty good lines on here. Again, this ended up being a 104.1. My fastest was a 105.6. And that actually qualified me like 13th overall. So going into main event 1, I really just wanted to be consistent. I knew that I had 3 main events to score points, and consistency was going to be the most key thing in the long run. Unfortunately, there were a few guys that had other plans for Doc. They decided I would be better off dead instead of getting a good start. But, you know, to be honest, even after that little, awesome first corner, I wasn't too worried, and I really just wanted to try and make as few mistakes as possible. But unfortunately, again, I made a bonehead move here, and I decided to triple this, middle triple in this long rhythm section, and I really shouldn't. I kind of overshot it, and I should have just doubled, and that one little mistake led to an absolute just chain reactions of L moments. And unfortunately, those L moments would cost me a ton of time. I was able to sneak through, and luckily there were a ton of riders still right in front of me. It seems L starts are a common thing in the old MX bicycles. As I sorted my way through the pack, things started to get pretty spicy. We were hitting rhythms it seemed like 3 wide or even side by side. It's like we were on Daytona 500 NASCAR track here. It was quite sketchy. And then as we head over this wonderful Supercross triple here, my arch nemesis Tyler cross jumps me, or maybe I cross jumps him. I don't really know, but all that really matters is we cannot stop getting into each other, and it's kind of ridiculous. After circulating around the 20th place, Solberg makes this incredible track re-entry across the whoops. Honestly, 10 out of 10 for staying on the track. I don't know how he didn't crash, but W. And then pretty much Doc just starts to make some very silly mistakes, including crashing on the wonderful draggy back. Oh, and then I was playing Mad Schools Motocross, or at least I thought, and I tried to wheelie over this very large double. Once the leaders started to come through, my goal was yet again, let's just be a good lapper. Unfortunately, I crashed and my bike hit old Valentin Leduff, but he is him and he just tanks my bike. I don't know how he did that. As the moto went on, I was actually able to make a few passes on some guys and was probably riding the best I had the entire moto. I was able to get around Mr. Tyler back there in the whoops, and now I have my eyes set on old DiGiorno's Takeout Pizza right in front of me, who decided that he would ride up this little single here and throw away 18th and give that to old Docky Walkie. And maybe it was just because we're friends. I don't know. And that gives me an 18th place finish, which is my best finish of the year. Main event 2 fires up, and honestly I was feeling pretty good. I feel like a lot of the pressure of racing was off my shoulders. We got the first one out of the way, and the start went really good. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like a good start, but at least I wasn't down in the first corner, you know what I mean? I felt like I was actually making some really good decisions and not getting myself into bad situations. However, I do end up casing this triple, and I was forced to double the rest of the rhythm section. I feel like this was the smart decision to do, but I guess everyone behind me thought Doc was going a little bit too slow, and so they yeeted me off the track. Because of the yeet off the track, a ton of us were forced to double the next section as well. But because all of us were doubling it, it didn't really lose much time. At least I thought everything was good, and then Casanova enters the chat and punts me so hard, I start playing MX Simulator. After booting MX bikes back up, I was really feeling the float. This was probably the best I had been riding all night, and I was starting to pick people off, working my way up into a top 15 situation. Lucky for me, in between main 1 and main 2, the server actually crashed, so they reset the track, and as we all learned last week, Doc is a barker when there's no E-road, and he kind of falls apart when there is like the slightest bit of E-road. I've worked on that since this video, so hopefully that's not the case moving forward. As I continue to make passes and capitalize on people's mistakes, my confidence was at an all-time high. Honestly, probably across all 3 rounds, I was feeling it, boys. The only thing that could ruin this would be someone taking me out and ruining all of my concentration. That one crash really destroyed my mental focus, and from that point on, it was just mistake after mistake, and I was really starting to just kind of slip out of my element. On top of all my mental focus slipping, the leaders started to come by, and so that always makes racing hard. I mean, it makes it hard if you're actually trying to stay out of their way, which, you know, I'm trying to be a good lapper since I'm constantly a lapper. Also, shout out to Mr. Jackson here for having a heck of a ride this main. I think he ended up 3rd, which was freaking awesome considering we never had any RD racing guys on podiums or even top 5s in the previous season, so to have him up there is such a cool way for him to represent, and I'm so proud of him. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that almost every single main, Evokes and I had some sort of battle. This was probably the best one though, because we were all over the place and continued to swap positions with each other. I mean, it seemed like almost every corner, like constantly. It seemed that as soon as I would get in the lead, I would make a little mistake and he would get around, but then he would make a mistake and I would get back around. And, you know, we were kind of hazards with each other, and I had to apologize to him in DMs and like, yo, my bad for cross jumping you. But right when I was sending that, he actually DM'd me and apologized for cross jumping me. And it was just really cool to race with someone that didn't take it like super personally and realized we were both just doing our best and we were having fun. This game is really fun to have battles on like that, and this was probably my favorite part of this entire main event, was just battling with Evokes. The rest of main event 2 was really just me being like semi-consistent, not like super consistent, but semi-consistent and picking off a few more people. This wasn't the best main event. The start really set me back and kind of took me out a little bit, but I ended up coming across the finish line in another 18th place, which I was pretty, you know, satisfied with. Not happy, but it was okay. Main event 3 came along, and I'm gonna be honest, my brain was pretty burnt out. And I don't want to use my brain injury as an excuse for poor performance, but I don't know how else to say it. My brain was toast, man. It was really hard for me to focus. I was starting to get like cross-eyed and dizzy, and the opening lap was just atrocious. It was so bad. Maybe the worst opening lap I have ever had in an aerial race. It actually didn't even stop there at the opening lap. It was actually like the first 2 to 3 laps. They were just really bad. After the 3rd lap or 2nd lap, I don't know, I found myself back in 22nd. I'm gonna spare you having to watch that race. I'm also gonna spare me some dignity of showing you that race, because it was pretty bad. To be honest, it was actually pretty uneventful. I was pretty much in last on lap 2 or 1, and then I don't think I even made any positions up to the finish. I just kind of circulated in last. I got close to some guys, but I never actually made the pass. I ended the night with 18-18-22 for an overall of 21st. The 21st really bummed me out. I had really high hopes going into a Triple Crown because I thought the Triple Crown would suit my abilities a lot better. And I gotta be honest, I was super discouraged after this race. I didn't even want to play MX bikes anymore. But you know what, man? I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna be better. I feel like I showed a ton of potential. Again, I qualified like 13th. I have the speed. I just need to figure it out. I know I got a lot more in the tank. I know I can do well. This whole week I've been grinding E-Road, and I believe that's helped a lot. You know what, man? I'm not giving up now, and I'll see you guys next week in the big boy class. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Woo!
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night.